The silence of my grandma's house was a physical presence, a thick, uniquely quiet setting I'd grown accustomed, especially since my grandmother had passed. It was the spring of 2018, and I had just turned 22. Living with the high cost of living of New York, I decided to move to my grandma's place in Fishkill, a small town 76 miles off. The house I'd inherited, with all its dark wood and secrets, looked nothing close to spectacular. Before I get into it, this incident was nerve-wracking, and maybe for you as well. Viewer discretion is advised. This incident happened on a Thursday. I had been working as a health aide in one of the healthcare organizations. It was not the highest paying job, but certainly something to get by, something to actually save money with in a small town. I reached home around 11 p.m., had my dinner, and around 12:30 a.m., went through my nightly ritual of checking the locks on every door and window before heading to bed. I would classify myself as a bedtime procrastinator. Therefore, I usually take 20 to 30 minutes to fall asleep. Sometime during the night, I hear a sniggering kind of voice from my lounge. I look at my clock as it gazes at me from my bed view. It's 3 a.m. Millions of things go through my head of what noise that it could be. I had to know. There wasn't any other option. I slid out of bed, my feet cold on the hardwood floor, not turning on any lights. The moonlight provided adequate light to navigate through the house and figure out where the sound was coming from. As I move to the lounge, I hear no voice. I look around to inspect if any furniture had been moved. Nothing. Nothing at all. Maybe it was my tiredness getting in the way of my sleep. I head back to bed again, and as soon as I lie, there it comes again. It was not the sniggering this time, but a cry of agony. It was the scariest moment of my life. Taking a deep breath, this time I run through to the lounge, overcoming all my distress. My first insane thought wasn't of an intruder, but of her, my grandmother. There was no one in the lounge again. I proceeded to the front door, and to my surprise, the locks were already open. A jolt of pure, undiluted terror shot through me. I looked around, then stood blank for about a minute. The realization that someone, or something, had been in here was hard to digest, and the immense pounding of my heart mirrored this. Running as fast as I could to my bedroom door, I slammed the door shut, locking it and sitting just by the door. With my phone within reaching distance of me in my room, I wondered if I should call for help. It was the morning. I had woken in my bed and my phone lying next to me. Had I not called for help, the first thing I did was creepingly look out of my bedroom door. Everything looked normal. The beautiful sun glared through the windows, flooding the house with light. Making my way to the front door, I looked at the front door lock, and to my surprise, everything was as it was. Not a single thing had moved. I checked every lock in the house again. All were secure. I tried to assure myself it had been a hyper-realistic dream, or maybe a sleepwalking episode. But the memory of the terrifying night was still with me. That night, I finished work at the same time. Things were different again when I reached home. I had made friends at work, but not too close to tell them what had happened. The moment I stepped inside, the house felt heavier, somewhat different to what it always was. It felt like the weight of the house was upon my shoulders, a feeling I still cannot describe to this day. I turned on every light in the house. I made myself some tea and sat in the lounge, staring blankly at the television. The sound of the motionless background was weirdly comforting. It drowned out the silence that had been bothering me since the night before. Around midnight, I decided to go to bed, hoping rest would clear my mind. But as I walked towards my bedroom, I noticed something strange. A faint light was coming from under the door of the storage attic, the one I'd never opened since moving in. The switch to that light was in the attic itself. I knew because my grandmother had once mentioned it. My heart skipped. I stood there frozen, the mug in my hand trembling slightly. Taking a deep breath, I grabbed a flashlight from the kitchen drawer and made my way to the attic. The attic door was slightly ajar, a sliver of golden light spilling through. When I pushed it open, the smell of old wood and dust filled the air. Everything seemed ordinary at first. Old furniture, photo albums, but on a small wooden table near the far window, there lay a leather-bound book. The book was dark brown. Its edges had all been worn out. A name faintly embossed on the cover, reading my grandmother's name. My pulse quickened. I took it to the lounge, examining it under the dim light. The first few pages were normal recipes, small to-do lists, little notes about the garden. But halfway through, the handwriting changed. The letters became uneven, hurried, frantic. She wrote about voices in the house, about doors unlocking themselves, and about seeing someone standing at the edge of her bed at 3 a.m. Then, more entries followed, ones that chilled me deeper the more I read. It started after his funeral. I thought it was grief or the silence. But I hear the front door open at night, and footsteps that stop right outside my room. Always at 3 o'clock. Always. I keep the lights on now. The laughter has stopped, but the humming has begun. A low hum, like someone trying to remember a tune. I heard it in the kitchen last night. I kept reading, each line more frantic than the last. She said the house was hers before it was mine, before ours. She said she lived here first. I paused. The house had been built sometime at the beginning of 1900s, long before my grandparents bought it. Who was this woman my grandmother mentioned? This was it. I could not live here any longer. That was the moment I decided to leave Fishkill. I packed my bags and everything that was mine. Waiting for dawn, I prayed. I hadn't prayed in a very long time, but this night was different. Only prayers would help me, I thought. The morning sun felt like a warm blanket, just in time from a very cold night. As I locked the house one last time, I left the book on the kitchen table. Part of me didn't want to take it, afraid of what it carried, afraid that it wasn't finished with me. I messaged my supervisor that I'd be leaving Fishkill for good. My colleagues texted me to find out why I was leaving. There wasn't any reason I could give them, so no replies. After handling all my logistics in Fishkill, I drove to a small motel on the edge of town and checked in for the night. My plan was to head back to the city in the morning, forget everything, and never come back. I remember sitting on the edge of the motel bed, replaying every sound, every word from that house. I barely slept. When I awoke, the morning light was sharp and cold. I went downstairs and headed to my car. That's when I froze. On the passenger seat, resting neatly as if someone had placed it there with care, was the book. I hadn't brought it. I stood in the parking lot for a long time, staring at it through the glass, my hands trembling. The windows were locked, the doors were locked yet. It was sitting there, waiting. I didn't open the car door. I couldn't. Instead, I walked back into the motel lobby and asked the clerk if anyone had been near my room or my vehicle during the night. He looked confused. "No one's been near your car," he said. "We've got cameras if you want to check." He pulled up the footage, and it was nothing. I came back to my car, and to my surprise, there was no book on the seat. Where had it gone? I drove from the motel to New York with fresh thoughts about the book. I settled at a friend's place and found a job after a month. I shared this story with my flatmate and have started to get comfortable sharing it with the world now. It's been 7 years. The memories of the incident still live fresh in my mind. I couldn't sell the house, as I would need to go see it again. I don't have the courage, none to be honest, to come close to that house ever again. But the only thing I have is its horror memories, which I am comfortable enough to share with the rest of the world today. I am thankful for all of you in hearing my story. Please do leave a comment and send an email to us if you want to share your horror story with the rest of the world through this YouTube channel. Till then, if you hear something laughing in the hallway, it's probably me uploading the next video.